Hey guys, and welcome back to our channel. I'm Michelle.
And I'm Ken, and today we're here to talk about our top 10 movies of
2022. Can you believe the year is almost over?
It's crazy. It feels like, just yesterday we were back in January watching Scream. I think it was the first big movie that came out this year. Will that make it on our list? I don't know.
I don't know. You have to watch the video to find out.
I don't know, but a lot of movies came out this year, and we're going to give our top 10. We're going to give our individual top 10. So I'm going to give mine and you give yours and all that good stuff.
We are not the same person.
We're not the same person. Sometimes we do collective lists, though.
We do.
But we're not doing it in this case. And before we get into it, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. We talk about movies and television shows. We do plan to do a top 5 TV shows of 2022 at some point. So be on the lookout for that. But if you like that kind of stuff, movies and TV and entertainment news, we cover it here. Trailer reactions. All that kind of stuff. Hit the subscribe button. And then
make sure to like the video.
Yeah, like the video like she said. And then, leave us a comment down below. We want to know some of your top 10 lists, your favorite. We're all different. We all have different lists, I imagine.
That we do.
So let us know your top 10 in the comment section below. And then also let us know what you think of our lists,
Yeah.
I'm sure there are people, not a lot of people's going to agree.
Well, let us know who has the better list.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like I make pretty good lists.
You do make pretty good lists.
Yeah.
You do make pretty good lists.
I put a lot of thought and consideration and heart into my list.
You say that like I don't. I put a lot of thought into this list.
Do you?
Yeah. We saw, I think when I did the tally, we watched somewhere around like 45 movies, I think, between the two of us. Now, there was a couple movies I saw that you didn't, and there was, I think, 1 or 2 that you saw. That I didn't. And obviously, there's still quite a few movies that we have not seen yet.
Right. A disclaimer. There are some movies that are probably really great and amazing that we never got around to seeing. So,
but we're getting to the end of the year, and we want to go ahead and just get this list out there. And, if we watch some of those other movies later on, we'll do reviews for them in January or February. And, no big deal. They'll just be a little late.
Yeah. Okay. I think we should, get into what we're here for.
Let's get into it. Top 10 of 2022. Do you want to start? You want me to start?
Yeah. So I'll start. We're going to start at 10 and make our way to number 1.
Traditionally, that's where you want to go. Builds up the drama and suspense.
Right. Yeah. I'm just throwing that out there. So my number 10 is Everything, Everywhere, All at Once.
I'm surprised that's all the way up at 10. I feel like that was your number 1 for, a little bit this year.
Yeah, I do remember it's hard because I tend to forget most movies pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And I'm not really much of like a
rewatcher.
A rewatcher, thank you. So definitely have only seen this movie once, but I do remember really enjoying it. And I liked the little, sentimental message that came along with the movie, but it is at my number 10 because I just don't feel like it stayed with me, I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah, number 10.
Number 10. So that's an A24 movie, and my number 10 is also an A24 movie. And I feel like this one's going to spark a little bit of controversy.
Okay.
Might surprise a few people, but it's Bodies is my number 10. I didn't think I would like this movie at all, but I ended up really enjoying it, enjoying the cast was very annoying, but they were intentionally annoying. I enjoyed the mystery. I enjoyed the story. I thought it was cool. I liked the way it came together, and it kind of, came together in surprising ways by the time we got to the end.
Gotcha.
So I really like Bodies, and the soundtrack by Disasterpiece was awesome. So
gotcha.
That was my number 10, but I know a lot of people are like either love it or they hate it. So let me have it in the comment section.
Okay, so moving right along to number 9. Number 9 for me is Fresh. This was a Hulu movie, and I don't know. I really enjoyed it. I thought that the story was cool and not like too extreme. I don't usually love the like super glorified stuff. Like maybe Terrifier 2 is probably, which we still haven't seen, but I don't know. I just thought that this was a cool story. And
definitely had some body horror elements in there,
right?
But it wasn't extreme. You're right.
Right. I just remember being, entertained and engaged in it, and I liked it. So
it was a good movie.
Number 9.
My number 9 is The Northman.
Okay.
I put The Northman in my top 10. I did enjoy this one, not as much as I was hoping to. It is a Robert Eggers film, and he has done one of my all-time favorite movies with The Witch. But I enjoyed this movie. I thought it had a good story, great visuals. I thought the performances were all great. And I ended up really liking this one. So I put The Northman as my number 9.
Okay. Well, not to spoil anything, but that one almost made my list.
Almost, yeah. It was a good movie. I do want to rewatch it too. I feel like it'll go up on my list.
Okay, so my number 8 is a movie that we've seen more recently, and it is The Menu.
The Menu?
Yeah. Again, I was telling Ken when I made this list, it's kind of hard to make a list because I felt myself just remembering the more recent movies that we've seen because, like I said earlier,
bias that definitely is strong with these kind of lists.
Yeah, like I said earlier, it's just hard for me to remember movies and how I felt and what I thought. Of course, you could go back and watch our reviews, I guess, to remind myself. But anyway, The Menu, I did enjoy it. I wasn't quite sure at first, but then it kind of grew on me. And I don't know, I thought it was another different kind of story to tell. So
yeah, I did enjoy The Menu as well. My number 8 is Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2022.
Oh my.
We watched that back in February, and when I first watched it, well, I mean, we were very early in the year, but I was like, this is my favorite of the year. I don't know why that movie
February or whenever.
I don't know why that movie hit me the way it did. I know it was another one where a lot of people loved it and a lot of people hated it. And there's been some comparisons to Halloween Kills, and I did not like Halloween Kills at all. But I really like TCM 2022. So I don't know really what the difference is. They were both kind of dumb, carnage-filled, fun horror movies. But I don't know. There's just something cool about TCM 2022. I liked it. I like the look of Leatherface. And I'm not even the biggest Texas Chainsaw Massacre fan, but I feel like they have way more misses than they do hits in that franchise. But I thought that TCM 2022 was a hit, and it was a whole lot of fun. I just remember having a lot of fun watching it.
I agree.
On Netflix. So
I agree. The story wasn't the greatest, but the kills were really good, and yeah. Okay, so what am I? Number 7, I think.
You are number 7.
My number 7 is also a movie that we just recently watched, and it is Glass Onion: A Knives Out Mystery.
Okay.
I really enjoyed this movie. If you watched our review, you know that I enjoyed it more than the first Knives Out, and I thought this one was just a lot of fun. I felt like the cast had really good chemistry, and again, it kept me entertained, and that's all you can hope for.
Yeah, that might show up on my list a little bit later.
Okay.
So where are we at? Number 7? My number 7 is a Marvel movie made my list, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. I really enjoyed this one, mostly because it's directed by Sam Raimi, and I really felt those Sam Raimi horror vibes throughout it.
Yeah, for sure.
And it just felt different than some of the other Marvel movies we've been getting recently. It's not what I would say is a masterpiece. It's not up there with Infinity War, some of the other better Marvel movies, or some of the best Marvel movies, but I enjoyed the movie a lot. I liked all the characters, and I was just really entertained watching this movie. I saw it in theaters, and then I watched it with you at home, and I was equally as entertained both times. So, not a long run time. It's only 2 hours, and I really liked it. I enjoyed it.
All right. Well, we're at my number 6, right?
Number 6. That's where we're at.
And mine is Doctor Strange.
Oh wow!
So
we're kind of in sync.
We feel like that belongs in kind of the middle of our list. Like you said, I did enjoy Doctor Strange and the multiverse.
The multitude of madness, multiverse.
The multiverse of madness. Yeah. It's not that drastic what I said. I enjoyed it, and again, I loved the zombie.
Oh yeah, that was cool. There's a lot of cool stuff in there. There's people that I feel
his cape that he made out of spirits or whatever.
This is another one that's very heavily criticized. I feel like mostly Marvel fanboys are criticizing this movie, but I don't know. I liked it because it felt different. I don't know. It's I don't get the criticism at all, but definitely better than Thor: Love and Thunder. I'll say that, which will not be on my list.
I think a lot of people would agree with that.
My number 6 is Pearl. Okay. My number 6 is, I actually had Pear wrote down. I forgot the L. I almost said Pear. Pearl is my number 6, which is an A24 movie, the sequel or the prequel to X, but it came out after X. I like this one a lot, and spoiler alert, X will not be on my list. I enjoyed Pearl a lot more than I enjoyed X.
Right.
I just really got into the character of Pearl, and Mia Goth's performance was excellent, and it had some good kills. It definitely wasn't as flashy as X in terms of style, but I don't know. It was like, I think it was set in the 20s. And it had like the old school filmmaking vibes, like Wizard of Oz was like a very heavy influence in the movie.
See, I feel like the style of it was very flashy. Like it was very obvious.
It was okay, so it was equally as flashy, but just in a different way.
Right.
Because X was more that 70s grindhouse style slasher.
Texas Chainsaw. Yeah.
I enjoyed Pearl a lot. So yeah, that made it to my number 6.
Okay. So we are at my number 5, and it is a little movie called Nope.
Nope.
Yeah. I enjoyed Nope. I thought that, I don't know. I found myself, I was super interested. If you've seen the movie, I was super interested in the monkey aspect of the movie.
Yeah, I've heard talks of them making a spin-off to that, which I think would be cool.
Right. I just really loved that part of the movie, and I really hope to see a story involving that. But I don't know. Nope just had this weird vibe to it. It was like this weird mystery, and I don't know. It was strange, but and
we got to see that in theaters, which I think added to it. I think that is a movie you should see in theaters.
Yeah, sure. And it looked really good, and yeah.
Yeah. Well, another one that may make it on my list a little bit later.
Yeah.
My number 5 is Barbarian. So we watched this one on HBO Max. We didn't get to see it in the theaters, but I thought this was awesome. This was the one. There was a lot of disappointing movies this year. I feel like there was a lot of movies that disappointed me, especially in the horror genre. But Barbarian, people were hyping this one up to the moon, and I was kind of skeptical. We sat down and watched it, and I just had a hell of a time with it. I loved it, and it had so many great twists and turns that you didn't really see coming. The performances were all great. I love seeing Justin Long back. And yeah, I just really enjoyed it. That was a really fun movie.
Okay, so my number 4, moving right along here, I feel like this one's going to kind of surprise you and maybe others, but my number 4 is a movie called Fall.
Fall? I am surprised I made it up that far on your list.
Yeah, I really liked this movie. It was super, thrilling, I guess, or kind of edge of your seat type of movie. It was one of those type of movies where it's very limited characters involved, and it's kind of in one setting or whatever.
Yeah.
But sometimes those movies are the best, and I feel like those kind of movies, it also speaks for how good they are if they can keep you engaged and entertained when there are so few people involved and when there is so few change of scenery and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, I had a lot of fun with this movie. It wasn't perfect by any means. There was a little bit of corniness involved, but I don't know. I still was able to overlook that and really enjoyed this movie.
Yeah, you had to suspend your disbelief a lot.
And honestly, I talked earlier about how I don't really rewatch a lot of movies. I could see myself rewatching this movie.
Yeah, and that was another one that had if I remember correctly, a nice little twist.
It did.
Towards the end. So, I liked Fall a lot. My number 4 is a movie that we've already talked about, but Glass Onion was my number 4. So, yeah, this is another one that I feel like is controversial. Some people are saying they do like it better than Knives Out. Some people are saying that they don't. I liked Knives Out a lot. I really did, but I had a lot of problems with it also, and I just thought that Glass Onion delivered a little bit better on the story and the overall narrative. I thought the writing was better, and I thought the overall mystery was more compelling. I was just more engaged in that story than I was in Knives Out. But the cast was definitely better than Knives Out. I'll give it that. But I really enjoyed Glass Onion. And a great cast as well. I mean, Edward Norton, Daniel Craig, Kate Hudson. A lot of great people in Glass Onion. So I enjoyed that movie a lot. That's my number 4.
Yeah, I know you keep saying that the first one had a better cast, but I don't know if I necessarily agree with that.
Well, I even looked at it again, and there was a lot of other people that I left out. There's Michael Shannon's in that movie, and you got Ana de Armas and Toni Collette, Jamie Lee Curtis. So there's a lot of great people in the first Knives Out.
Gotcha.
So I would give the cast edge to that. But it's also more people, and this one I feel like may have been a little bit better because it had a smaller cast and it was a little bit more centered around those characters. I don't know.
Yeah, I just feel like the cast in this one was just more like witty and just more entertaining. Like,
yeah, that it felt more focused, and it also felt a lot more like it also just felt more like an actual like murder mystery than the first Knives Out did.
It was more fun to me. Okay, so my number 3, which I feel like I already know is going to be your number 1. No spoiler.
You don't know what my list is going to be. Don't act like that.
Because just everybody's talked about how amazing it is. But my number 3 is Maverick. Top Gun. Is it Top Gun Maverick or what?
Top Gun Maverick.
Okay, yeah. I had just recently saw the first Top Gun movie. We saw it before we went and saw the Maverick movie, right?
Yeah.
So that was like my first exposure to the movie. I'm not real big on like 80s movies or anything. But anyway, I did really like this movie. I do feel like it kind of heavily like relied on the first movie to make people like it so much. Like it copied so many things from the first one. So that's kind of why it's not like my number 1 or anything. I don't feel like it's...
But it did it so well. Did it so well.
Gotcha. Well, anyway, I did enjoy it though. It had a great, what would you call it? Action scene, I guess.
Yeah.
At the end of it, and it was just very engaging, and it did have heart, and it was good. So
yeah. Well, I mean, that's still a good spot. Number 3 is a good spot for Top Gun Maverick. My number 3 is Men, another A24 movie. So this is one that I went into, and I was like, I don't know how this one's going to hit me because I'd heard a lot of things about it.
Yeah.
But I love Alex Garland as a filmmaker. For me, now he's 3 for 3 with Ex Machina, Annihilation, and Men.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just really love this movie. I thought it had some great atmosphere. I thought the performance, both the performances by Jesse Buckley and then the other actor, I can't remember his name, but he had to play all the different characters.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Great performances, but it just had a really like creepy atmosphere, and you just felt that all through. And then it had one of the biggest like what the F endings ever in a movie. So I ended up enjoying that a lot, and I'm just really curious to see what Alex Garland does next because I love him. So
yeah,
it's my number 3.
All right, so my number 2 is Barbarian, which you already mentioned. I just, again, had a lot of fun with this movie. Like you said, it was cool to see Justin Long again.
Yeah.
I really liked the, what's the word? The tonal shift. Is that what you would say?
Oh, yeah. Big tonal shift in the beginning or in the middle.
Like the kind of middle, almost middle, maybe.
I'd say so.
Yeah, there's just this like really weird shift in the movie, but it's so different, and I don't know, it somehow works. And I don't know, it was just very, I don't know, it felt different to me. And like you said, it was hyped up a lot, so I'm happy that it delivered for us. I just had a lot of fun with it, and I thought that it was again entertaining, and that's what I'm looking for.
That's why we watch movies, right? To be entertained. So my number 2 is Jordan Peele's Nope. I really love Nope. We saw it in the theaters, and it was a spectacle in the theaters. And the more this movie sat with me, the more I'm just like, Jordan Peele, to me, is one of the best like filmmakers working today. And I know people have criticisms of his movies, but like to me, like he makes movies that have a distinct style, and they're very like distinctly Jordan Peele films. And I like when you watch a movie, you feel that director influence. And I think with all of his movies, you feel his influence. I know some people don't jive with it, but I've loved everything that he's done, even Us. But Get Out's like one of my favorites. But Nope was, I don't know, it was just, it was creepy. It had that scare factor to it, but it also felt like an old school like Steven Spielberg film. It's an alien invasion movie, which I love those kind of movies too. Great performances, great direction. It's a spectacle kind of movie. And I just remember coming out of the theater being like, I really loved that. And just like Alex Garland, I think Jordan Peele's another 3 for 3 director for me. I don't think the guy misses. So yeah, always excited to see, his next project.
Yeah, it's funny because I remember after we saw it, you kind of like find yourself looking up at the sky.
Oh, yeah.
Like looking at weird clouds, and you're like...
Yeah.
So anyway, okay, so we're at my number 1. And I don't know if you're ready for it.
I'm ready.
I want to know if you know what
I feel like I know, because I feel like you would have already mentioned this movie. So I feel like I know.
Okay, so my number 1 is Men.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, my number 1 is Men. You've already talked about it. Ken likes to go on and on and on, so.
I left out some stuff that I thought you would mention.
For me, obviously, I've mentioned, I want to be entertained. Obviously, that's important. But also for me, the thing that I love most about movies is how it makes you feel. And so even though this movie is extremely heavy, like it's very heavy, and you're not going to like walk away from it feeling like great or anything, but it's also just, there's so much emotion in the movie, and it was just so like heartbreaking and beautiful and just like so many feelings at once. And like I think you mentioned, it is a very kind of a little bit of an eerie, I don't know, it's
also just a beautiful looking movie in general.
It's just is like atmospheric a word?
Yeah, atmospheric, absolutely.
Like it just has a feeling with it, kind of like being in a heavy fog or something. I don't know. But the performances are amazing, especially, I don't even know her name, but
Jessie Buckley.
Yeah, I think she's fantastic in it, and just the whole thing with her and her husband, it's just very heavy hitting, but it just really stuck with me, and I'm just like, wow.
Yeah, and again, this is another one that I feel like misunderstood by people. A lot of people look at it and it's like, oh, it's woke, and it's obviously like trying to pander to the feminist agenda and all this stuff. Yeah. Men are evil. I didn't get that from it. Like, I could see how some people might be able to get that from it, but to me, it painted both sides, not the best. So I thought it did a good job of balancing both of those things.
Yeah, for sure. To me, this movie was about
it's about her regrets.
Yeah, for what happened. And her taking blame, but then also saying, like, no, this is not just my fault. This is,
I thought it was a beautiful story and a beautiful message, and wrapped in this really creepy atmospheric horror movie. So that's a good number 1. My number 1 is obviously Top Gun Maverick. This is the reason why I get excited to go to the actual movie theaters and see a movie in the theaters. I don't feel like I get as excited for a lot of movies anymore. But this one, I walked into it not really knowing what to expect. I heard some good things about it, but man, this movie was just such an experience, and I'm a big fan of the first Top Gun, and Tom Cruise is just on another level nowadays. I feel like he's not given the best performance, but you can just tell that he cares when he makes a movie, and he's involved in the production and everything.
He's like borderline crazy, honestly.
He's borderline crazy, but he makes great movies, and he cares about giving the audience an experience. And that's what this movie is. But beyond just the experience of it, like, it's also just a really well-told story with some really good characters. I loved all the new characters. They gave them all good stories, and they all had good interactions. And I love the story between Tom Cruise and Miles Teller, him being Goose's son, and kind of having to deal with that, as well. But then, the whole Val Kilmer scene was like super emotional and impactful. And there's just a lot of great stuff about this movie, and I just think it's one of the best of the year. So
I think most of the world would agree with you.
It's one of those movies that when I'm done watching, I want to watch it again, and I don't feel that way about a lot of movies. Sometimes I want a little time in between it, but I watched it again at home and loved it just as much as when I watched it in the theaters. Yeah, such a great movie.
But, all right, well, there's our list.
Yeah. That's 10 through 1. Do you want to give any honorable mentions before we close it out? Do you have anything that almost made your list?
I did. Well, like I mentioned,
I know a lot of people are going to be upset we didn't have the Batman on there.
I was not a fan of the Batman.
I liked it, but it wasn't good enough to make my top 10.
It was one of those movies that I walked out of, and I'm like, why did I make myself?
It was too long. 3 hours is too long.
I think I mentioned earlier that The Northman almost made my list. It was a little just kind of out of my circle of what I tend to like. Yeah. So it kind of got booted out a little bit. I'm trying to think, Scream,
Scream was good.
It was pretty good. But, again, just didn't feel like it needed to be in my top 10. So I'm not sure if there's anything else that
Yeah, I can't think of anything else either. I just wanted to see if you had any other ones that almost made your list. But look, it was a good year for movies, I think. Overall, there were some disappointments, but overall, I feel pretty good about my list that I made. I hope you do too. And we're looking forward now to 2023, and we'll definitely be doing a most anticipated of 2023 real soon. But appreciate you guys watching. Please like this video, subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Comment down below your own top 10 or top 5 or whatever you want to comment down below. Let us know what some of your favorite movies of 2022 were.
Let us know who had the better list.
You always want to know that because you always just feel like you have the better one. I don't know. You have a very controversial movie as your number one. I don't know if people are going to side with you or not this time.
What's the word? Vanilla with your number one.
I can't. If it's a great movie, it's a great movie. It's going to make my number one. I don't care what anybody thinks. But anyway, appreciate y'all watching. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Turn on those bell notifications. Follow us on our social media accounts down below. See you guys later.
Bye, guys.